So what we're going to do here, you may see that you got this unsightly, ungodly looking square tile as a ceiling. I'm 99% sure this is asbestos, and we're going to get rid of that. And how we're going to do that is we're going to use drywall. Now I already did the process in the other room. I'm actually halfway through, and it's going to look something like this halfway through the process. But I'm going to show you here how we got it to look like that. So bear with me one moment, and I should add actually for a second there that there is another way to do this. If you don't want to use drywall, you can also use drywall mud, and it's called sim coating, and I did that in the bathroom that I've partially finished. And you can kind of still see the lines, and I just wanted to give it a better finish, because using drywall mud can be kind of a pain. Needless to say, so is drywall, but not as much. Okay, bear with me one sec. So, as you can see here, the crown molding has kind of come away, and this being an older roof, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there is movement in the ceiling. And that's just because, well, it's an old ceiling. The way these are set up is you got nails probably right here, and then sporadically they're everywhere nailed to the ceiling on these 1x2s, or not even nailed, they're actually stapled. And with time, the staples come away from the 1x2. Now you can fix that by just drilling into it and then securing it back to the 1x2. So what our first step is going to be in this process is to take down the crown molding, of course, remove that, and then put up get the drywall ready and screw it in to the 1x2s. And I'm going to show you my ghetto kind of way of figuring out where the 1x2s are exactly. So I have the the crown molding removed from the ceiling, and I assume that when you're finished with the project, or about to be finished with the project, you're going to reuse the existing crown molding that was there. Now you have two options when you do that. You can either label the crown molding, or what I like to do is just place the crown molding around the perimeter of the room from the wall it came from. So that makes it a lot easier when you're putting it back together. Now, what we're using here is called a drywall lift, and if you're going to do this project, I strongly advise that you invest in one. You can rent them from the hardware store, I believe, for like $40, but it's like $40 I think for 4 hours. And I bought this thing for $80, $90 off of eBay. So it's a great investment. I mean, it turns a 2-man, 3-man job into a 1-man job, and I highly encourage that you use it, because it's going to be a lifesaver. What we got here on top of the drywall lift is a 1/4 inch piece of drywall, 8x4, and that's going to go, of course, on the ceiling. Now I used the 1/4 inch drywall piece on this because there is an existing ceiling, and these, like I said before, these are attached to a 1x2, so I'm trying to make it as light as possible. Because there is a lot of weight already on those 1x2s. Generally, if there was no tiles up there or no other material, and it was being attached to a 2x4, you would use something like a 1/2 inch or a 5/8 inch piece of drywall. And of course, that all comes down to your code in your municipal. So with that said, I'm going to get this jacked up, and then I'll show you what's next after that. Drywall is up, and that's what it looks like when the drywall lift is doing its job. So next step is to screw the drywall into the 1x2s, and I've already started, kind of get an idea of what I do. I take a screwdriver, and I wasn't sure if the studs run this way or if they run this way, but it looks like they do run this way. What I do is just keep poking pretty much. I found that there is one right here, and I'll poke. If I can't go any more, then I know that I hit a stud. if I keep going in and I keep poking, then I know, you know, okay, there's nothing there, nothing to screw into. Just keep going. And they are about 12 inches apart, but I just like to do this for safe measure. So we got another one right there. So we'll put a screw like right here, and then there's one right here, so I'll put one right there, and we'll just keep going down the line until we get all the studs. So we'll work our way this way, and then we'll work our way that way. And that should nice and securely fasten the drywall to the ceiling, and then we'll move on to the next piece. I just wanted to give a little overview of how to cut drywall for anyone that's watching this and may have never done it before. I won't be able to give an in-depth explanation or show you exactly how to do it since I don't have a way of mounting this camera, but I can give you an idea. So what you're going to do is you're going to score your line. So you're going to take the measurements that you need. You may only need to cut a 2-foot piece or 1-foot piece, whatever it may be. You're going to find your measurements, mark those down, and then you're going to score a line. Now, what I use to make a straight line is this blue tool here. It's called a square. 10-11 bucks at Lowe's. I think it's greatly worth it. Definitely a good investment, and helps you make those straight lines. I was trying to cut the drywall without it, and you know, I was getting all sorts of slanted lines, just wasn't coming out even. It was a pain in the ass. So I definitely recommend getting that, unless you know you want to try and not use it. Maybe you'll have better luck than me. But anyways, so you're gonna get your measurements and you're gonna score the line 2 or 3 times, and then that's gonna create a way for you to crack the drywall on the back. So you're gonna bend the drywall, and then it's gonna make a line on the back, and you're gonna cut that line on the back. And once you do that, then the drywall will separate. And this is just a quick overview. I want to throw it in there for anyone who may have not done it before, and I hope you found it useful. So as you can see, we have all the ceiling up. Drywalls are all screwed in and whatnot. But as you'll notice, there are still these lines where the drywall connects, and I'm going to show you what we do with that. I'm going to take you to the next room where the process has already been done, so bear with me. So here's the other room, and we've already sealed up the joints where the drywall connects, and what you're going to be using is what's called drywall compound or drywall mud. You can call it whatever you want, whatever your little heart desires, but it comes in something like a blue, a green tub. One's lightweight and one's regular. I'm not going to get into specifics of what's better. You're going to be using that, and then you're also going to be using drywall tape. And most people use this, which is the cheaper stuff. I've found through trial and error that I prefer to use this, and this is a fiberglass base drywall tape. Generally, you would use this for something in like a shower when you're using it like around water and stuff. But I find that it works better in just about any scenario that you would use the other stuff. Because with the other stuff, I usually get bubbles, and that's a pain in the ass. So I like to use the fiberglass because I don't get that situation. So what will you do here? Well, you're going to first on the drywall, you would take drywall mud, go over one layer, and then you would take your tape, and then you'd put the tape on top of that layer, so it's kind of like a glue, so to speak. And then after that, you would take more drywall mud and smooth it out. Go over until you get like this. And if before you get about 2 or 3 coats, you would see the lines, but you can't really see them anymore because so many coats have been on here. But you would do that, and then you would sand it down. And after you sand it down, you know, you make it real nice and smooth, and then you're ready to paint. And that's pretty much about it. That is how you install a ceiling and get rid of those unsightly square tiles or any other unsightly ceiling you may have. So I hope there was something to learn from this, and I'm sure I'll get plenty of comments on telling me how I did it wrong, but I'm open for that. Cheers.